When we are being pulled to do something, we've just got to do it. There's going to be that pull to do it, and then there's going to be a really strong pull to just not, because it's our old frequency wanting to keep us in the old frequency because it wants to stay alive, because it's an entity that we've created through the strengthening of that particular frequency. But when we want to move towards a new one, we're going to have to work with this push and pull, and a lot of the times it's just fucking doing it, because it's a new layer of our identity. So part of it is like, oh my god, what the fuck, because of everything that's going to come with it. Yes, everything that we're going to have to let go of, but also everything that comes with it as well, because the more we reclaim our power, the more we gain responsibility in certain areas. However, responsibility isn't a bad thing, and we have connected some kind of icky stickiness to responsibility and to power because of what we've experienced and witnessed throughout our lives. However, it doesn't have to be bad. It can be really fucking good. And this is what I'm currently navigating right now, is this push and pull, is this really claiming into and anchoring into this next level identity, whilst also letting go of the old and navigating everything that comes up with that. So thank you for being here with me on this journey. I've spoken about why I've decided to do this vlog, should we say, and I've also spoken about my journey that got me here in the last two. And today I feel like it would be really great to speak about the why. So why am I doing this, and why am I doing this so differently to the rest of my industry? So yeah, it's been a really deep journey, as I shared yesterday, from where I started. And as previously mentioned, I have 5 planets in Capricorn, and I also have 3 planets in Aquarius, and my Lilith is in Aquarius, my North Node is also in Capricorn. So there's a lot in there in respects to creating tangible resource, tangible wealth. There's the ambition there with the Capricorn, but then with the Aquarius, it's really all about humanitarianism and innovation and community and new visions. And I've come here for this as a bridge in the creation of the new world. And my whole chart, all of my charts in numerology, in astrology, in human design, that reflects all of it. And this is what I really love about these modalities, is as we go into it with a curious mind, we really get to know ourselves on a deeper level, especially through the deconditioning process. Because with human design, they say it takes about 7 years to recondition ourselves to our design, because of the way in which we've been conditioned and programmed growing up and in the societies that we live in, where we live in a very toxic, unhealthy, masculine, ego-led society, essentially, disembodied as well. And we must move through this in the sense of, okay, understanding that we're coming from that, and also understanding that because we come from that, we have traits from that, and also knowing that 70% of the population are also in generator energy, which is something to do with the human design. So especially if we are beings that do not have access to sacral life force energy, when we're around that and essentially upholding that with our open centers, because our open centers amplify that energy, when we're around that, that affects us. But then also when we have all of these blankets of toxicity and trauma and unhealthy ways of being on us, it affects our being and it affects our life. So this deconditioning process, first and foremost, allows us to really come back to who the fuck we are and why we came here to operate. And also it allows us to to clean ourselves up so we create a better experience, not only for ourselves but for the people around us. And these modalities have really allowed me to come to understand the role that I came here to play when I've looked at all of them and cross-checked, and also felt into myself and what was true for me, because our bodies never lie, they talk to us. This is why I came here. So first and foremost, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because of the role that I chose to play as this soul having a human experience. However, on a deeper level, I mean, look at everything. Look at what's going on in the world. Just zoom out and look at it. Look at your experience. What is that like? How do you feel the majority of the time? And if it's not 98% of the time you're happy, you're peaceful, you're content, you're in these good feelings, if that's not 98% of the time, then I would really encourage you to assess that so you can refine it. Because this is why we came to this planet, is to live our lives in our fullest expression, which means that we feel totally safe and secure to be every single asset and facet of ourselves, depending on where we're at, what we're going through, the whole spectrum, right? We want to ensure that that's the case. And we also want to ensure that we're able to create everything that we desire in this life, which we can. Why else would we come here if we couldn't, right? Life is about suffering, yeah, it's about problems, because we're always going to have suffering and problems. However, why does it have to be that all the time? Or why does it have to be that 80% of the time, 90% of the time? It doesn't. We can have happiness and bliss and love and safety and security and excitement in our lives as well, the majority of the time. And yes, we're going to face problems, and yes, there's going to be struggle. However, it's going to be worth it, because we're able to experience the rest of our life like that as well. And it's a beautiful experience. It's so beautiful. And if one person can have it, then so can many others. It's simply a case of us coming together to support each other to make that happen. Now, the journey is not easy. However, it's necessary in so that we create a better future for our children, most importantly. Now, as I touched upon yesterday in my share, I was depressed and anxious and unfulfilled. And the reason I was that way, because of the environment that I was in, because it was toxic and unhealthy and unconscious as well. And there's no blame or shame on anyone, and it just is what it is. We were all led through this, through parents and caregivers that mostly really fucking cared about us, and they were doing the best that they could with the tools that they had. However, they didn't have the awareness that we now have, which is what I'm sharing with you and what I will continue to share with you. So we're led through this toxic and unhealthy society, culture, familial structure, communities, and because it's natural within us as humans to be some sort of sponge, an amplifier, energy transfers. So it transfers on an energetic level, but then also on a conscious level, because of the way that we're being and the things that we're doing. So we end up absorbing that and becoming that. And if we're living in that kind of environment, then of course we're gonna become the next. It's like saying, the 5 people you hang around with the most, you're gonna become the next one. You are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. So then it's like, okay, well, let's audit this. Who am I mainly around? And how am I? What am I like? And being really honest with that. So I went on this journey when I started my business journey, and like I said, I do things so differently than people within my industry, and I came from the time of this industry when it was very bro markety. So it was very business led, money led, high ticket sales, affiliate marketing, online business, freedom, lifestyle. That was the main focus. We never really focused on the water because the water was an upsell, right? It would be like, okay, start an online business with me, let's start this. And it was really trained into us to be performative. However, I couldn't really get on board with that. And this was also the start of, I guess because, and this is why I like doing these videos, because it also allows me to process even more. So if you've been following me, you'll know that I've let go of a lot of shame around the money story that I've been navigating, and thinking about it, the performativeness of the industry at the start mixed with my own money programming that I had, and the performativeness and the way that they led, that's really interesting. So I didn't really go into the performativeness, so to speak. I really started sharing my journey and building my personal brand. But there were certain aspects that I held back because of what I was witnessing in the industry then, and how when I experienced money coming at me in ways that I couldn't have even consciously comprehended, which was proof of this frequency work that I teach, and it was fucking amazing, really. I held that back and I didn't really talk about it. So although I wasn't performing, there was an aspect that wasn't the whole part of the story, you know. And I just let people make up their own assumptions, because that's what happens, right? Is they see something and they'll fill the gaps. But I never lied about anything, or said that money came from my business when it didn't. I just said that it came, and I left certain parts out. So I mean, you can take what you want from that. And I'm not overly happy with it. However, it was just a part of my story in claiming the wholeness of me and my power and my experience, because of different things that were also attached to it, such as not being taken seriously, fear of not being heard and being ridiculed, because I'm the 1% of the fucking population. You know, so imagine being the 1% with people that don't even know that you're the 1%, and you don't even know that you're the 1%, and you've always been pretty outspoken and shared things, but because the 99% don't fucking understand you, you just or people not taking you seriously, or they're ignoring you, you know. Yeah, so there were certain aspects that I knew were just when I got the redundancy, when I got the inheritance, when just all of throughout this whole 9-year journey, it'll be 9 years next week pretty much. Like I've known, but then there were certain aspects that I held back because of this fear of not being taken seriously. But, now I'm at this point where it's, if you don't want to believe me, you're fine, you're cool, you can just stay in the bubble that you're in. If you like it, I'm really happy for you, but if you're not, then I would really encourage you to open your mind. And the ones that get it, and fuck, it's been a journey. It's been a journey rising up out of all of that toxicity and ridicule in certain aspects, to really get to where I am today, to not give a fuck as much as possible. And this is part of the next layer that I'm moving through, is really, really having my back in the protective mama standpoint, and also not giving a fuck at the same time, as much as naturally I'm just like, you know. So anyway, going off tangent like I normally like to do, I go in the ways that spirit is calling me to go. So why am I doing this? Well, and why am I doing it differently to the rest of the industry? Because like I said, when I started, I came from that leading with the business, performative, bro marketing, and the manipulative sales tactics, and the urgency, and all of the icky stuff that we really do not like about sales and marketing. And I didn't resonate with it, and I didn't resonate with all of this copy and paste performative shit. So I started to also do research elsewhere and learning about network marketing, because that's the field that we're in, is network marketing. And then I started to learn about building a brand and the types, like great types of content, sharing your story and all of that jazz. So I was doing that, and people were getting to know me through my story more so than the business. And then of course I was sharing the business and everything that's available with the business and the vision and all of that jazz. So through this process of sharing my story, ultimately I've been healing myself and supporting other people along the way, which has created much fulfillment through the processing and the expressing of my pain, which has ultimately allowed me to alchemize and transmute that on a conscious level. And then through this journey of going after everything that I've wanted, that's required various different layers of alchemy and transmutation that I've continued to apply and ultimately unlock various different channels, access points, portals within me, so I could continue this work on a deeper level, on an emotional level, on a body level, on an energetic level, on a quantum level. And it's been a really interesting process of the push and pull between all of my old frequencies and all of the new ones, as well as different areas where I've had to kill my ego, and where different levels of integration have come from when it comes to my shadow and my light and my masculine and my feminine, and where my standards have risen because of that, and my way of being and my character has shifted as well. So I've been on this journey through this process of building my personal brand with the intention of creating everything in my life that I want, not just the money. And yes, I've been going after the money because the money creates resource, it creates choice, it creates resources and choice, it creates freedom. However, my journey in the creation of wealth has been a very, very testing one, because of the money shame that I've had to let go of personally, but also because of the deep ties within my familial and ancestral lines when it comes to money. And I feel like we all have this in different areas, because I mean, I came from toxic and unhealthy ways of being, and from lack and scarcity and fear. And this is everything that I've been moving through to get to where I am today. And because I've chosen to move through that, rather than, yes, I've had the focus on money, but my focus hasn't been on chasing the money. My focus hasn't been on fucking pushing myself out of what I came here to do. It's been really about honoring my journey. That's been my focus, and honoring what I'm personally being guided to do. And that doesn't come from out there. I've had so many people that have been like, and most of the time it's come out of care and fear because of their own stories and projections and what they think is best. But that's it's probably best for them, but it's not best for me, right? And since the start of my journey, I have been very connected to that part of me. Hence why, for instance, when we were first being told to do copy and paste and do certain ways, I was just like, no, that's not for me. I'm going to go this way and do this thing. So everything happens perfectly, everything. And yeah, I've just been guided by that pull. And the more that I remembered the power of listening to this pull through the reflection of things just working out for me perfectly in the way that I needed it for that particular lesson or area of growth, evolution and ascension, the more I started to see those reflections and see, oh fuck, this works, this stuff works, this stuff works, this is good, this works, I'm going in this direction, this is good, I'm enjoying this, even though at points it was hard. The easier it got, even when I've been in situations where I've literally been pushed to the edge. The initiation that I've been going through since February, there was one point during this initiation where I had to leave the country for my visa, to reset my visa, and I only had enough money for a one-way ticket because the prices of the flights had gone up so much because of the energy crisis and whatever, that it was more than double the price as to what I'm used to. So I didn't have enough money in there to do the return and then sort the visa stuff and whatever, but I had to leave the country. So I booked the flight. I was like, I'm gonna have to, this is the only thing that I can do, and I trust, I let go of fear. This is exactly what's happening. And I shared the story of where I was at as well. And magic. I was there for 6 days. Accommodation was provided for through a very dear sister, conduit of the Most High. Just out of the blue. It was, the story is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's so phenomenal. The sister that I just had a ding just as I was starting to take off on the plane. I just message her. So I messaged her and I asked her if she was in KL, because I knew that she was living in between the UK and Malaysia, and she was there in KL, which is never normally in KL because she lives in Malacca, which is about 2 hours away or something. And she was there the day that I was landing, and she had another night there and an extra bedroom, and she doesn't normally book 2-bedroom apartments. So wow. And then she was like, you're welcome to stay with me. And it was such a really beautiful trip, and during that trip the money came so I could fly back safely. So this was a real reminder of the magic when we just trust and let go of control and surrender. And the reason why I have chosen to build my business in the way that I have and teach others to do it in their own unique way as well. The reason why I've chosen to lead with just everything. Why not lead with everything we've got, right? Why not? I mean, this world needs everything that we have right now. This world needs us to be our best. I really hope that the wind isn't messing that up too much. The world needs us to be our best right now. The world needs us to come back to our best. It needs us at our healthiest. It needs us at our wealthiest in every area of our lives. Where, the focus is money, but it's not money at the same time. And it's interesting because through the pursuit of the wealth that I know that I came here to build, not just for myself, but us together within community, we support each other do this. The wealth that I know that I came here to build, I have created that backwards. And it's been really, really interesting for me to come to this clarity and understanding. And, you know, before I rebranded to the wealth frequency shift, it was the growth shift. Because it's all about growth, yeah? We're just continuing to grow upwards and create better. So it started as the growth shift, and as I went through, I was going through a rebirth at the time, and the growth shift didn't feel true to me anymore. So I initially thought, the frequency shift, but it felt like something was missing. And I was also checking numerology with it as well, and the frequency shift worked, but then I had the download for the wealth frequency shift. So with that rebrand in itself, there was a lot of money shame to unpack, because in that process the came up of the wealth frequency shift, you're teaching people wealth frequency but you're in like nearly 100 grand's worth of debt, and you're struggling, and that was a process. And you know what, recently I heard that there was this woman writing a book about money and how to create money, but when she was writing that book, she was actually working part-time in a coffee shop or something. So that was really quite validating to hear. But essentially through this process of letting go of the money shame, it's like, yeah, so what? I'm in that much debt. However, the money's always been there for me to be able to create what I came here to create, to be able to honour the role I came here to play, to be able to get me to where I am today, for me to even be able to speak to you in this way with this much clarity around, that's why that happened and that's why that happened. Everything's so perfect that's led up to where I am today. Even the heartbreak, because the heartbreak that has been happening for me since the end of May has brought so much clarity and so much power back to me. And this is the way that we really get to look at any kind of disharmony, discordance or friction within our lives, because that is simply guiding us towards what is aligned and what is ours by birthright when we choose to refine ourselves in the ways that are required. So in this process of the rebrand to the wealth frequency shift, and through me sharing and letting go of the different layers of shame throughout, because like I said, this process for me has been very organic. It's not been forced. It's just been following the pulls and the nudges and enjoying my life in the way that I love to enjoy it. I love to be at home with my fur babies. I love to rest. I love to hang out with my friends. I love to explore, really depending on how I feel on the day. I love to just follow the flow of what I personally need for the day to feel good, right? And yes, there have been times throughout my journey that I've not been the best to myself, should we say, because I was unconsciously protecting myself because of all of the heartbreak and the betrayal that I went through. However, I always followed the pull, and to be honest with you, again, I feel like those times anyway were divinely orchestrated, and I needed that time to process to that level, right? And would it have been easier if I had a coach? Yeah. Of course, it would have been much easier if I had a coach or a mentor, but fact of the matter is, I didn't have the resource. So I had to walk this path on my own. If I had the resource, I would have, but my main focus was creating, and always will continue to be, creating a really good quality of life and giving myself everything that I need for the journey to be able to bloom. I have to nourish myself, and yeah, it's my home and my way of living was more important than investing in a coach. But that's not to say that I didn't invest in myself, because I did. Where I could, I invested in schools that I could follow my own flow and self-lead myself through. I've invested in that type of curriculum, but for the one-on-one coaching, I just wasn't in the space, so I chose not to, and I chose to do my learning self-paced and on my own. But yeah, going through it all, it's all been perfect. The length, the speed to get to where I am today, to be able to share from where I'm sharing with no bars held back. This is, you get what you get. This is me, right? And I'm the most open that I've been in a very long time, and also sharing from here as well, and not from here. Like, I'm really over all of this performative shit. It's tiring. It's really, really exhausting. And why do we feel like we need to perform? Why do we feel like we need to be anything more than what we are? Because we're perfect exactly as we are, in every way that we are. And this is the journey that I've been on, which is why I do things so differently to the rest of the industry. You know, yes, the water is very important. Yes, the career plan is really important, and it's why I chose to start. And I'll put a link to the career plan below as well, so you can look. It's why I chose to start, because of the career plan and because of what it enables us to build together in community, in leadership. It just makes so much fucking sense. It's a new world system. The economy is shifting. We're moving away from all of this fucking capitalistic, centralized kind of structure. I really believe that we can have both, in the sense of it being kind of capitalist, but also being centered around community, and how us as community help the economy in that sense by lowering, not the right word, it's not widening, it's the other one, you know, by closing the wealth gap. And I really feel like this is a system and a model that enables us to do that. This business model, we just help each other switch our water, drink the best water that we can drink, and support our tribe do the same, and then support our tribe build a business around themselves and around their growth and around what they're learning and their self-leadership and their passions and their purpose, which ultimately supports their tribe, which ultimately supports their tribe. It just makes sense. And having come from a sick society, having come from a toxic and unhealthy society where people don't look after themselves, where they don't look after their mind, their body and their soul, where they don't look after their family and their communities in the way that they need it, rather than the way that they think they need it. I came from a society that wasn't sovereign. I came from a society that was full of trauma and toxicity. I came from a society that was very codependent and narcissistic. I came from a society that wasn't emotionally intelligent. I came from a society that's very aggressive and violent, whether that be physically or verbally or energetically or mentally. You know, I came from all of that. I was that at one point. And now through this journey of going after the money, in the sense of, first and foremost, the freedom, because that's how I manifested my redundancy, was focusing on freedom and the frequency of freedom. So then the freedom came, you know. And throughout this journey has just been maintenance, expansion and maintenance of the frequency, so I'm able to be provided for in the way that I have wanted, needed and more. And now we're at this stage in my journey where it's really owning my worth. And this is recently what I've been moving through, is really shedding all of the bullshit around self-worth and not being worthy, because that was one of the stories with money. It was, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And then mix that with this not feeling seen, heard, taken seriously, appreciated, understood. My self-worth was also tied to that as well, because that's where my power is speaking and sharing. And I've been guided to speak more, so hence why I'm doing these, right? And I'm getting out there, and I've been nudged for years, go live more, do this bit, but something's been holding me back, which is what I've just shared with you. So this stage that I'm in this next level for my identity is really owning that part of me in this role, and really taking myself seriously first and foremost. Some people are not going to get it. They're not going to be on the vibe. They're not going to be on the frequency, and that's all right. I'm at a point now where I can really handle the projections that I know I'm inevitably going to receive. To be honest with you, I don't think I'll get that much though, because I don't really. And I feel like because I've mastered my communication in the way that I have, and also my being, it would turn out really beautifully anyway, or I'll just block them. Because I like having open dialogue and conversation, and I do my very best to keep it respectful while also holding my boundaries. But some people just, they can't receive that, you know? So why am I doing this? Because I came from that, so I know that there are a lot of fucking people in that, and I don't really experience that anymore in my life at all. I don't. So for me, my life is just normally just really beautiful. I'm surrounded by so many beautiful people, and yeah, if I ever have a with anyone, it's because of I've known the frequencies that I've been connecting with, because I'm very selective with who I share my time, energy, attention, space with, because of this fact. Energy transfers, and not everyone's on the same fucking frequency as me, you know, and I'd rather be bopping in my own frequency than mixing with frequencies that just don't fucking get it. I'm not there anymore. I don't need to prove anything. I don't need anyone to like me. I couldn't give a fuck. I'd rather just be on my own with my animals and have friends that I know that are on the frequency around me. So I tend to not experience the meh. However, sometimes I do, because you can't, what's the word? It's a part of your strengthening, right? You can't completely eradicate certain frequencies from your life because of love and because of soul ties and connections. But then we get to learn through that and strengthen that and come back to our power and stop abandoning ourselves. Oh, it's that. I thought it was one of my cats there at the 2.5 strong acidic. It's highly sanitizing and disinfecting, darling. I'm currently using it for Polly's paws because she's got a rash, so that's why it's on the bed. But yeah, it's really about rising up out of that for ourselves and supporting our tribe do the same. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is why I teach people how to build their businesses in the way that I do. It's like, yes, focus on building community, yes, focus on sharing this amazing opportunity, these products, whatever vibes with you in that sense, because there's various different angles to hit with this business model, whether it be the water, the health, the community, the time freedom, the financial freedom, the sovereignty that we get to create through the frequency teachings that I teach you, the friendships, and the possibility, the money that we're able to create, the resource that we're able to create, the connection that we're able to create, the impact that we're able to create. There's so many different ways that we can approach this business. And I teach you how to really connect to a way that aligns with you, whilst also honouring yourself and your own evolution. So it's not just the same old message talking about online business, high ticket, low ticket, freedom, tax, fucking whatever, travel. I've been doing this for 9 years. That, yeah, it's good to bring that in every now and again, but to talk about it over and over again, for me, it's really fucking boring. It's so boring. So I want to share about me and my journey and what I'm learning in that sense. You know, there's been different areas that I've shared in respects to my journey and where I'm at. Self-love, discipline. Yes, I was sharing about the business and I share about the water. Now I'm going through this next level identity shift. So I'm sharing more about what's going on with that identity shift and calling in tribe. And yeah, I know that when I get onto my next level of healing within divine relationship, and then also parenthood and a different level of leadership, and I'll share those parts. And I don't just want to keep it down to this, you know, because we're so multifaceted and we all have so much that we can offer and that we can share. And for us to be able to do that, there's a lot that we get to work through in respects to energetic and emotional blocks and any kind of stories that we have attached to certain things that link to our fears of being seen, our fears of being heard, our fears of success, our fears of failure. We've got various different fears depending on where we've come from and our own unique story and way of being that we get to work through and move through so we can continue to rise above. So yeah, and in honor of ourselves and our passions and our purpose and our message and our vision and our mission as well, that adds to the wider mission of true health, true freedom and sovereignty. No matter what it is that you're doing in your life, no matter what it is that you came here for, it fits within true health, true freedom and sovereignty. You fit within that because you are that. That is your birthright. True health, true freedom and sovereignty is your birthright. And it was taken away from you, just like it was taken away from me and everyone else that is currently within the invisible chains of this system that together we get to break free from and support our tribe in doing the same. And that means shedding all of the toxic and unhealthy ways of being and doing and having. It means shedding all of the fears and all of the dense and heavy energies that are holding us back from our highest, from doing our highest, from being our highest, from being connected to the divine through our own divinity. And for that, we need spaces that are clean energetically. We need leaders that are clean energetically. We need leaders that lead from their heart. We need leaders that come from integrity. We need leaders who can effectively communicate. We need leaders that revere and respect their people, that celebrate, that lift, that support, that trust, that hear, that see. And through the reflection of leaders that weren't this for me, I ultimately became this through the reflection that I didn't want, that I didn't like. So I looked at it, okay, I don't want that, I don't like that, in every area of my life, not just leadership, in every area. Okay, so what do I want, what do I like, what does feel good? And moving through in that way, and refining in that way. Because it's so very easy to point fingers and blame everything and anything outside of ourselves for the situations and the experiences that we find ourselves in. However, once we choose to actually look at it and say, okay, well, there's something about me in that sense that was perpetuating, allowing it, enabling it, whatever, or that was calling it in. And this isn't victim blaming. We're not doing it to blame ourselves. No, we're doing it to empower ourselves to know that we can create different. We can experience different. And the reason that we're currently experiencing this disharmony and disrespect and yuckiness that we're experiencing, and discordance, that's the word that I wanted. The reason we're experiencing that is because there's a frequency match within us somewhere that's calling that in, so we can purify that frequency, should we say. So when we look at life in that sense, we get to empower ourselves towards evolution and ascension. We get to empower ourselves towards creating our own version of heaven on earth. Let's make no mistake, heaven and hell is not outside of us. It's not after we die. No, it's right now within us. And we're either creating our own version of hell or our own version of heaven, depending on the choices that we make, with the thoughts that we think, with the way that we choose to be, with the way that we choose to emanate, with the things that we choose to do, the stories that we decide to tell, the words that we choose to speak, all of it. Because remember, when you're speaking words, you're bringing your thought into the physical, because it's coming out, right? So yeah, why am I doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it? Because the way we heal the world is by healing ourselves. And it first comes with the foundational switch of water, because we are 70% water. So the water that we're fueling ourselves with is imperative in the way in which we are operating, in the way that we feel, in the energy that we have, in the power that we have. And because of the structuring of the water, it allows our cellular structure to restructure, and it gives us everything that we need at that moment in time to move towards our highest. And when we've got the conscious intention to move towards our highest, it's really fucking beautiful. And then when we're working with people that are on the vibe, that get it, that want to lift us, that want to support us, that teach us everything that they know in respects to their journey of rising. And there's different people, you know. Right now, as I'm starting this movement, it's me and everything that I'm sharing. However, as this grows and as new leaders come, there's going to be different perspectives and angles. And I love the idea of the wealth frequency shift expanding as a community, and it not just being me. I don't want to be the one that's like, I'm happy to lead and I'm happy to be forefront and face. However, I love the idea of also bringing in other people's medicine and magic, because we all get to do this together. So then you don't have to create your own version of the wealth frequency shift unless you want to. Some people want to, and that's okay. Some people have to. Like me, I didn't necessarily want to, but I had to. I was really fucking pushed to do it. And this being because I know that I'm not going to be one of those hierarchical, like, controlling leaders. I'm a matriarchal, let's all come in this together and support each other. And because of the essence of my design being a reflector, the diplomacy is naturally there, and seeing people's sides is naturally there, and the community aspects. I've also got community lines throughout my chart too. So yeah, the vision is this, and building this kind of online community ecosystem and expanding on it together, and then coming offline and building our own regenerative off-grid communities offline, our own pockets of heaven on earth and utopia that we build together within community. Now, we all have our own spaces, but we're together in community with our families and living off the land and supporting the communities around us as well, through the wealth that we create through this water ecosystem. It's very, very exciting. It's very exciting, because life really gets to be everything that we want it to be. And why am I doing this? Because I go first, so you can see that it's possible for you, and then I teach you how I did it, and then you can bring in your medicine and your magic and make it into your own, because we all make it into our own, you know. What it comes down to is refinement and really knowing thyself. So I teach you this. I teach you how to know yourself on a very, very deep level, to create awareness around every area of your life, so you can become your best, your most powerful, your highest self. Yes, darling. I have a friend ringing me right now, and it's 50 minutes, and we're here, we're doing it. I've filmed that. So I think we're gonna finish this. That's why I'm doing it, because the world's in shit. The world's in shit. And we didn't just inherit this world from our ancestors, we're also borrowing it from our children. So it's really, really, really important that we do our best to create better. And this is the way that I'm playing my part in creating better. And if you feel the vibe, and if you want to do it in your own unique way, and if you like the idea of coming back to clean living drinking water and becoming your best self and building community and soul tribe and rising and thriving together, then come join me, because doors open. I love you so much. Have the best day, and I'll see you on the next one.